Hello, 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 everyone! Sodor Railway Studios here, and welcome to the return of my movie review series. It's been God knows how long since I last did a movie review on this channel, so I'm glad to kind of return to form with it, I guess. And I thought that because its sequel is being released around this time, I thought, what better film to review than The Bad Guys, released in 2022. Now, like I said, the reason I'm doing this one is because the sequel is being released around this time. Though actually, here in the UK, it's actually already out here in the UK, but I think in the US it's being released on the 1st of August, so in about, I think, 3 or 4 days at the time of me doing this. So yeah, it's not coming out on the 1st of August, but here in the UK it's already out because they released it in the UK on July 25th, I believe. But as of me recording this right now, I haven't seen the sequel, even though I said it's already out in the UK. But I am considering going out to see it around this time at some point, maybe over the weekend or something. Um, but I thought I might as well review the first film because um I have quite a lot to say about it, really. Um, Before I say anything else, though, I'm gonna have to admit I've not actually read the original book series by Aaron Blabey. I'm really sorry if I pronounced his surname wrong, but I haven't read the original book. So when I first saw posters and a trailer for this film, I had no idea that this was based on a series of books. Um, so when I found out that it was based on a series of books, I was rather shocked. Because I just thought it was just going to be another generic villain redemption type story, like we've seen before with other films like Despicable Me and Wreck-It Ralph, and DreamWorks has even done it. DreamWorks has even done it before with Megamind. So like I didn't think it was going to be a rip off of any of those films per se, but I did think it was going to have a rather similar structure in terms of villain characters redeeming themselves, because that type of concept's been done quite a lot before with, like I mentioned, mainly Despicable Me and Megamind, and also Wreck-It Ralph to some extent. Um, and I have to confess, I didn't actually see the first film in cinemas when it came out. Though looking back now, I do kind of wish that I did, because I will admit I did really enjoy this film. Not quite to the same extent as other DreamWorks films that I've reviewed, like Shark Tale or The Road to El Dorado or How to Train Your Dragon, especially How to Train Your Dragon, as that's my favorite DreamWorks film. I think I've said that before. But anyway, enough of me rambling, because I've realized I've started rambling a bit, but I might as well get to the actual review. So, for starters, I do really enjoy like the family kind of bond between the bad guys as a group. Like even though they are these like hardened criminals, even though they are criminals for most of the film, they do really feel like a proper family. Like not just friends. They do feel like a family in that little bubble that they have. It's like with Mr. Wolf, Mr. Snake, Miss Tarantula, Mr. Shark, and Mr. Piranha. They all feel like a family, and I do. In particular, I like the friendship between Wolf and Snake because um you do see that Wolf cares deeply for Snake, even though Snake doesn't usually show that much affection back to him because of how grouchy he is. But um and you can also kind of understand where Wolf's coming from because on the one hand you probably imagine that he does somewhat enjoy being a criminal because he said that, because I know in the opening car chase he said that he said that he wanted a longer car chase, which I think was really funny. Um but I also like how he's the first one that decides that maybe he does want to change and maybe he does want to become good. Um, I think he decides it faster than Megamind did in the original Megamind film, because Megamind did genuinely enjoy being the villain and he felt he had no other purpose in life. And it wasn't until much later on in the film when Megamind decided that maybe he didn't want to be evil anymore. Like maybe he wanted to turn good. Mr. Wolf, on the other hand, he found out that he wanted to change much earlier on, and he showed that to Diane Foxington, quite early on in the film. He showed that he genuinely wanted to change, and then of course there's the bond that he has with the cat when Professor Marmalade is trying to teach them to save the cat from the tree, and it was not till later on that he manages to do it. And the bond that he has with that cat was extremely adorable. Um, and I love Mr. Wolf's arc as well. Like, I think out of all the characters, he's the one that goes through the most development. I think. All five of the bad guys go through a lot of development, but Mr. Wolf especially. And Sam Sam Rockwell was perfect casting for him. Like, I love Sam Rockwell's voice for Mr. Wolf. I think it's just his normal voice, I think, but what I meant to say was I love his performance as Wolf. Though the ironic thing is, for some reason, when I first saw a picture of Wolf in, I think, the trailer, when I first saw a picture of Wolf, for some reason I thought he was going to be voiced by Will Arnett. Because I don't know why. I think there was just something about his design that just screamed Will Arnett to me. Like, I don't know why, but for some reason I felt like Will Arnett was. For some reason there was something about him that made me think he should be voiced by Will Arnett. But I'm glad that Sam Rockwell did it, because now I can't imagine anyone else other than him voicing Wolf. And then of course there's his romance with Diane Foxington, or just Diane, and their romance is extremely adorable. Um, and I do hope that they get more chemistry in the sequel as well. Like, because I know that from the trailer for The Bad Guys 2 that there's that scene where he he does exercises with Diane in what looks like a gym area in Diane's house. Um, so I imagine there might be chemistry there. Um, Speaking of Diane, I've mentioned this before, I think. Like, particularly, I talk about her a lot with N19 Tendo DS on his channel when he makes community posts. I talk to him a lot about how much I love Diane, and he loves her too. And I won't lie, Diane is easily one of my biggest animated crushes. Like, she is absolutely gorgeous. Like, her character design. I really don't get why DreamWorks has that much of a tendency to make their female characters incredibly sexy with their designs. Like, because we had Chell in The Road to El Dorado, and then there was trying to think now, the Roxanne in Megamind. Trying to think of some other really hot female characters in DreamWorks films. Um, well, I guess to an extent there's Vanessa from B Movie, but I think out of all of them, Diane is probably the one I have the biggest crush on, to be honest. Like, but I'm not just I don't but yeah, Diane is easily my favorite character in the film, but I'm not just saying that because I find her incredibly attractive. I'm also saying that because I not just because of her romance with Wolf, but I also really love her backstory as well, like how it's revealed that she used to be a former criminal. In fact, she was the Crimson Paw, which is the most notorious criminal that the police in that town has been after, but that they've never been able to catch. And then I like how she was able to turn over a new leaf as well when she decided that she was doing the wrong thing and she decided that she wanted to do good, and that's how she became the governor. Um, and I do like how she goes from being a bit suspicious or a bit maybe distrusting of Wolf to start with, and then she ends up deciding that she actually really likes him, and then of course she ends up forming a romance with him. Um, I don't have that much to say about the other bad guys, to be honest. I mean, because Wolf is definitely the one that gets the most attention out of all of them. And though I think Mr. Snake does get a fair bit of spotlight as well because he's the one that Wolf is closest with. But the other three, Tarantula, Shark, and Piranha, I don't really have that much to say about them, to be honest. I mean, that's not to say I don't like them. It's not like I think they're bad characters, but well, bad in as in not in the traditional sense because they're bad guys for most of the film. But yeah, um, I will and I will be completely honest. Piranha's fart jokes did get a bit tiresome after a while, but I get why I kind of get why they included them in there because apparently he has a flatulence problem in the books, but like I said, I've not read the books, so I wouldn't know personally, but since that's apparently the case, I can understand why they do that. It's just personally that's not really my style of humor. But I do get why they included them in there. Um, Mr. Shark, I do like how he's voiced by Craig Robinson because I know he's done voices in DreamWorks films before because he was in Shrek Forever After. He voiced Cookie. Um, and then also there's Awkwafina as Miss Tarantula, who I think did a good job. Um, and then of course she'd later go on to do another DreamWorks character because she voiced Zhen in Kung Fu Panda 4, and has done a few other voice roles as well because she was Scuttle in the Little Mermaid remake and also Chump in Migration, and Sisu in Raya and the Last Dragon. And now we're gonna go to Professor Marmalade, the villain of the film. Although he's not actually revealed to be the villain until like the second half, like the middle of the film, because of course he's the traditional twist villain type character that quite a lot of animated films seem to have done nowadays. Particularly modern Disney films. Yeah. I'm looking at you, Frozen, with Prince Hans. But unlike characters like Prince Hans and Bellwether from Zootopia, I do think Marmalade is a pretty good twist villain, I think, because I mean, he had me fooled when I first saw the film. But rewatching the film, I did realize there are a few hints that show that he would be the main villain. There's the scene where he shouts at Mr. Piranha when he goes, "It's not a bat!" Like when he loses his temper with that which was definitely my favorite scene in the film. That was absolutely hilarious. Um, I will admit it did take me quite a long time to get used to the fact that he was voiced by Richard Ayoade and the fact he was playing a villain because um Richard Ayoade he before that he was an actor I usually associated with good characters because Richard Ayoade is most famous for playing a character called Moss in The IT Crowd, which is a sitcom by the BBC. He plays an autistic nerd type character called Moss, and I think those are the types of roles I was used to seeing him play. I mean, I know he technically kind of played a villain role before because he played Mr. Pickles in the Box Trolls, but But the thing with Mr. Pickles is he wasn't truly evil, to be honest. He was just he thought he was doing something good, but when he found out he was doing something bad, he and Mr. Trout turned on Snatcher. So I don't really count Mr. Pickles as an actual villain per se, but Professor Marmalade definitely is. Um, that being said, however, I do think Richard Ayoade did do a really good job as Professor Marmalade. Like, even if he's not the actor I personally would have chosen, if I were choosing voice actors for the characters, even if he's not the person I would have chosen, I do think um he did do a good job. Because I think Richard Ayoade is really good in pretty much everything I've seen him in. Like, because not just with the IT crowd, because he was in Paddington 2 for a small scene in the courtroom scene in Paddington 2. And he was one of the counselors in Soul as well, the Pixar film. Um, and then he's of course Professor Marmalade now. Um, and then the animation in this film I thought was also really good. Like, I feel like I like how they, I love how they did the designs of the characters as well. Like, especially ones like Diane. Like, I could probably I could probably go on for months, if not years, about how much I love Diane's design. Though I think I've gone on about it a bit too much, but yeah. Um, and then also Daniel Pemberton's music score for the film I thought was really good as well, because I wasn't actually expecting Daniel Pemberton to be the music composer for the film, because he also did the music for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I think is probably the thing he's most famous for doing the music for. Um, so I'm not quite sure how many people actually remember that he did the music for the bad guys, but at the same time, you can kind of tell that it's Daniel Pemberton doing the music, because there are a few times when you can kind of hear a little bit of Spider-Verse type music in there, I suppose. Um, though I feel like there were a few obviously this is a but now I'm going to talk about some things that shocked me about the film, like not just the twists, like with Professor Marmalade being the villain and Diane being the Crimson Paw. Those are, but then again, it's a heist film, and I think heist films usually have quite a lot of plot twists. But the thing that shocked me the most is the fact that Chief Luggins, the police chief, she's voiced by Alex Borstein, the same person who voices Lois in Family Guy. And that shocked me a lot, because I didn't recognize her. I barely recognized her, because she didn't sound anything like the voice that she does for Lois. And I think it's similar to how Seth MacFarlane voiced Mike the Mouse in the first Sing film. And I guess you can kind of tell it's Seth MacFarlane, because you feel like part of you does feel like he's kind of doing his normal voice with a Brooklyn accent, which I think might tie into the fact that he gives Peter Griffin a Brooklyn accent. But anyway, so in conclusion, the bad guys, I do think the bad guys is a is a really good is a really good film, I think. Um, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite DreamWorks films. Like, I definitely say I prefer films like Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon, um, Megamind, Shark Tale, B Movie, and a few others over this film. But I do think this is a really good film. Um, and I also think that it was well voice acted as well. Like, particularly with Sam Rockwell as Wolf, and Zazie Beetz, I forgot to mention, as Diane Foxington. I thought Zazie Beetz did a brilliant job as Diane. And then of course Richard Iowadi is Professor Marmalade. Um, oh, and another thing I forgot to mention about Mr. Piranha, I did like his song "Good Tonight" in during the ball scene as well. I forgot to mention that bit. Um, um, so yeah, I've kind of run out of things to say about the film, if I'm being completely honest with you. Um, this is, and I'm just looking at the time of my voice recording thing now, and over 20 minutes in, so this is definitely going to be my longest film review. Probably because of me rambling a bit earlier on. But yeah, my overall score for the film, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10, I'd say. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one, and as they said in the film, go bad or go home.